and welcome to the PHLY Eagles podcast. We're listening to the show ourselves here from the studio. Bo Wulf, Zach Berman, ready to close things out on Cowboys Week, the fifth show of the week. We've got our attention turned to the Eagles having the ball against the Cowboys defense, the prime time matchup in this game, the good on good. We've got some news about who might start at right guard, Zach. We're going to have our Goose Wisely. We're going to have our final crystal ball Eagle predictions. We got a lot to do. How are you?
Doing great. Looking forward to the show. It's a Friday show. Always fun to do a Friday show.
Always fun to do a Friday show. Plus, a Thursday show is great. A Monday show is fun. There's nothing like a Sunday. And a Tuesday show, we got Fletcher Cox coming on Tuesdays this year.
That's right. A great video that you can see on our social media accounts. Fletcher Cox will join us throughout the remainder of the season, and look forward to speaking to him about the games, but also kind of about him. I think this is a good forum to learn more about Fletcher in year 12 with the Eagles.
There you go. So what was it like at the NovaCare complex today? I know that you want to say that the hay was in the barn.
Well, the hay is in the barn. It's a Friday afternoon, right? So at this point on Friday, the game plan's in.
You ever handled hay?
I've gone on hay rides, yes.
Okay, so probably
does that suffice?
No, that's not handling it.
Like
certainly not the way that you are handling that microphone right now, which is
yeah, that's my fault.
Extremely aggressive.
Sorry, I want to make sure that my sound is perfect to match your sound. So, have I handled hay? Yeah, I've actually handled hay before.
Okay, yeah, you're a blue collar kind of guy.
Hey,
vibe at the NovaCare complex today.
The vibe at the NovaCare complex, relaxed today, I think, or I shouldn't say relaxed, focused. Right, this isn't a team that's tight. This is a team that's ready for a division game and not inflating the game. Spoke to a handful of players. Spoke to obviously Nick Sirianni before practice. Should we get to the big story?
Pretty brief press conference from Nick Sirianni, huh?
Yeah, Fridays are very quick. Sometimes I wish they could be longer, but I'll take.
You had an interesting back and forth with Nick today.
Which one? Thank you for observing. Which one?
The one that was on the record about...
no, the Bob Knight one?
Yeah.
Or?
What did he say about Bob Knight?
Okay. So he brought a poster or a sign in that somebody...
Weird move by him, I think.
that somebody gave him. And it's Knight sitting in... It's a famous picture. And it's Knight sitting in front of a sign that reads, "Victory favors the team making the fewest mistakes." And he was asked by Tim McManus from ESPN, a real good reporter, about kind of the messaging to the team this week. And he had that sign, and he said it's kind of what's here. It's victory favors the team making the fewest mistakes. So playing clean was the emphasis. And I'm always...
Because nobody made fewer mistakes in his life than Bob Knight.
Well, so I'm always interested in learning more about Nick, right? I mean, sometimes you ask questions about the game. Like here, I put it this way. Some questions are about eventualities, things you're going to learn anyways, right? And some questions are like psychoanalysis or a chance to kind of get to know somebody.
Peel back the layers. You want to uncover something.
Yeah, like a second date or third date question type thing, right?
Okay, well, that puts an entirely new spin on the way I'm going to watch press conferences from now on.
I'm just saying like more, I was saying...
I'm not saying that there's tension between you and Nick. I'm not saying there isn't that kind of tension between you and Nick, but what I'm saying is now I get to observe what you would be like on a second or third date.
Well, no, that's on a second date. I'm not asking about Bob Knight. I don't know. You never know.
You might be. I would not put that past you.
But
if you were on a second date with a woman who went to college at Indiana, I think there's a good chance that Bob Knight might come up.
That would probably be the first date, actually. Yes. So I asked Nick if Bob Knight is someone that he studied. Because he does study coaches, and Jay Wright's someone that he's studied quite a bit, and he's mentioned quite a few of other coaches, and he said not really. He said
good. I'm glad that he like tried to wade into the Bob Knight waters and then backed off. He's like, all right, I'm not going to make this my guy. I'm not going to die on a hill for Bob Knight.
He said he's obviously seen the video of Bob Knight throwing the chair, which there are other things that you can discuss about Bob Knight, right? I mean, humans are are complicated. And,
Yes, he
and
was a very
nuanced.
complicated, very terrible human being.
I'm saying, but humans are nuanced, right?
I actually don't know that he was that complicated. I think he was just a bad guy.
Okay,
But
I don't know Bob Knight. I've interviewed him 3 times.
you've interviewed Bob Knight 3 times?
Yes.
Tell us the stories.
I mean, not like there's nothing. I mean, it was like conference calls and press. So that
Okay,
that,
not
that
a
type of-
one-on-one. You've been
No,
at
not
a
a one-
press conference.
Been
for
at
Bob
press
Knight. Okay.
conferences and conference calls. Yes.
Okay.
Syracuse played Texas Tech one year, or was in a tournament, and I did a Bob Knight Jim Boeheim story. I did something else with Texas Tech, and then I spoke to him for a different.
What was the
different
headline
story.
of the Bob Knight Jim Boeheim story? A-hole coaches against A-hole?
That was not the headline.
Oh.
No, the Daily Orange did not run a headline that said "A-hole coaches versus A-hole." I would have to look that up, but I remember where I was when I did the interview.
Well, I
was
also
in,
have a-
I was in Lawrenson Hall, I believe, room 714.
Wow. High up. One of you were in the penthouse, essentially.
No, Lawrenson actually I think it was like 18 floors.
Wow.
So I was actually not even close to the top. Yeah.
I have my own Bob Knight picture, which I believe
Burying at the lead.
Julia can not Julia, Bree can flash up on the screen. That is my sister Elizabeth portraying Bob Knight. And I like to think that some part of knowing that he was portrayed by like a 6-year-old girl contributed to Bob's demise.
Well, first of all,
It's the back page of ESPN the magazine.
a few things here to unpack. Okay. Number one, I love how you made the Bob Knight conversation organic when you had this prepped all along. You
I
gave
didn't
them
have
a
no.
Okay.
The conversation. I wasn't going to put that up there until Nick brought him up
Okay, no,
out
but
of nowhere
I'm
today.
saying,
Yeah.
like, you brought this up to me organically, and then you had this planned all along. Number one. Number two, always love when the Wulf family is involved. Always love when ESPN the magazine's involved. So yeah, terrific there. Love seeing the family
Nice job
there.
by Elizabeth. I
love
think
seeing the
she
costumes.
did a great job.
But I mean, respectfully, like, the man passed away this week. I'm not going to devote the show to ripping on him. Okay, like let's let
He devoted his life to ripping on other
I'm
people.
saying,
I think it's only fair.
Let's like allow like people to grieve and mourn. And I'm not. My objective wasn't to come to the studio today and rip on this guy. So yeah, I thought you were going to reference when I asked about the Italian flag.
And what did he say?
I didn't know if you were going to make fun of me for that.
And what did he say?
He says that's his heritage. Well, so the NFL's having Heritage Week or a Heritage program, and different players are wearing different flags from their heritage. And he has the Italian flag on his visor. I believe he had it on his shirt last week. And he says he takes a lot of pride in it. It's where his father's family is from. His father's not from there, but his father's family's from there. And he says it's a big part of his family growing up. In terms of their family reunions, in terms of them eating, he said the way he speaks with his hands, that's him saying that, okay? I don't want you to say like any,
Okay.
that's I'm quoting Nick here or paraphrasing Nick.
Your next headline for post game Sunday is going to be spicy meatball coaches the Eagles to victory over the Dallas Cowboys.
No, I'm not saying that at all. No. But so I asked him about that, and in part, while you try to peel the layers, get to know somebody, and I enjoyed talking to different guys in the locker room about this week. Like, for instance, Jordan Mailata, it's a very subtle thing. He had the Samoa flag on,
which he had been asking for.
Yeah, I spoke to him last year, and because I asked him last year about having the Australian flag, and he said he really wants to have the Samoan flag, and so.
And he mentioned on the New Heights podcast, he's not even an Australian citizen.
I haven't listened yet. That dropped today. Okay?
Yeah.
I got to listen to that. But no,
They don't have naturalized citizenship in Australia.
But he was so excited to talk about that, or I shouldn't say so excited. He was cool talking about it. Like, he was happy I asked, and he said how much like pride he took. That's where his parents are from. He's born and raised in Australia, but his parents are born and raised in Samoa. And so he's wanted that to represent his parents. And I asked him what his parents thought of it. And he's like, they actually didn't really know until I told him. They didn't know how much
Mm.
work went in. He's like, they thought it was cool. He's like, but, he said, he goes, he goes, you know, he goes, 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 He's like, all I had to do to get that Samoa flag on there. So I think he wanted a little more credit from his parents.
Yeah, don't we all?
I'm not going to unpack that. Let's save that for an off-season episode.
All right, Zach. You do have some other news from the NovaCare Complex, which you dropped on a YouTube short yesterday after the show. It seems as if it won't be Cam Jurgens at right guard. It won't be Sua Opeta. It might be the debut of Tyler Steen. What's going on there?
Yes. So a few things. First off, you were on top of it. You thought Tyler Steen looked good in those 6 snaps the other day. You referenced that the other day.
I don't know. I don't remember even saying that.
I believe you did.
Okay. I believe
number
you,
one. Number two, we talked at yesterday's show before practice that we were eager to see who was out, if it was going to be Cam Jurgens or Sua Opeta next to Lane Johnson in the session before practice. And when I got there, I went right over to the offensive line area, waiting for them to get over. It wasn't just me; it was other reporters too. We knew
that's the main event.
Yeah, we knew the story to chew out of practice there, and Tyler Steen was there, and we're kind of looking around like, wait, are they messing with us here? Is this actually happening? And then you do our digging in the locker room, and it certainly sounds like Tyler Steen's going to have the chance to start this week. Now, nothing's official. Nick Sirianni wouldn't say it today. Nick Sirianni said they're comfortable with all three being Cam Jurgens, Sua Opeta, and of course Tyler Steen. Cam Jurgens has been limited so far this week, recovering from the foot injury. Didn't have a chance to speak to him. I asked him. He was tied up today after a workout, wasn't ready to speak then. Sua Opeta has been dealing with an injury, but was a full participant in practice yesterday. But worth pointing out with Opeta, he was practicing on the left side and the right side. So usually when you're doing that, you're kind of prepping to be the swing guy in the game. And Tyler Steen was there next to Lane Johnson and Jason Kelce. And I will say that Tyler Steen, I put a quote on Twitter yesterday from Jason Kelce where he said, like, his stock is rising, Tyler Steen, during these past few weeks, and they really like the way he's been coming on, that he has great movement skills at guard. He said sometimes when there's like a center guard, they don't really know how to deal with some of the athletes from college, and Tyler Steen played on the edge in the SEC, so can really handle some of the athletes. His size. So it's interesting, a big week against Dallas, and they go with this, but I do know that Tyler Steen's someone who, behind the scenes, they've been happy with, and he only had 6 snaps, but one thing that Kelce pointed out is he handled the silent count well. That's not applicable for Sunday, but it is something that if Steen's in that position going forward, and there's a reason why the Eagles drafted him in the 3rd round.
It's just an interesting order of events, right? Because it's Tyler Steen. I mean, maybe he has really come on over the past 3 weeks. Like something clicked for him on the practice field or in the meeting room, but he was the 3rd round pick when Cam Jurgens went down, and they went with Sua Opeta. Now, Sua went into that game and played well when Jurgens went down, so maybe the thought is you roll with what's going on. But, he is a more talented player than Sua Opeta, right? They could have gone to this sooner, and to do it now when theoretically Cam Jurgens is close to returning, right? And my guess is if he doesn't play this week, he's going to be ready to play the week after the bye. So this is a 1-game opportunity for Steen. Like, could he be good enough that he could keep this job, you think?
I wouldn't rule it out. I don't think so, but I certainly wouldn't rule it out. Now, I think part of this is Jurgens might not be ready to go, right?
I would imagine so.
Yeah. And so they want to give him, he would get 2 weeks here after. And then Sua, there was a little, I don't want to say doubt earlier in the week, but he also hasn't been playing exceptional, Sua. I thought he played better first.
His play has been declining over the course of his time as a starter.
One thing I've heard is that he's really good, like in mid-zone runs. That's a strength of his. But there's other areas where he kind of needs some help, and as a pass protector, Steen might be ahead of him there. So that's something that.
Well, it's also interesting the thing that you said about, and that Kelce said about dealing with the different athletes, because this Cowboys defense, famously, they're doing a lot of putting their defensive ends inside a defensive tackle, right? And so the specific matchup where Steen is probably going, if he plays this game, which we expect, he's going to see a lot of like guys who are by nature outside rushers rushing inside. And so maybe that's part of the thinking that it's a good physical matchup for this specific matchup.
Yeah. Well said. I think that's really good analysis, and that could factor into it. The other thing, just to kind of put you behind the scenes, and Jordan Mailata was. Am I allowed to curse on this show? I think
Yes.
so. Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Bree.
You're always the one who likes to work blue. We understand. Longtime sickos understand.
So he said it's not like a bad curse word. It's probably on
The more you build it up, the better.
Jordan Mailata said that Steen has done a great job taking shit from Stoutland, and that like this is something that is important to monitor. Like Mailata said that the day 3 and the undrafted guys, like they take the most shit from Stoutland. He said like the day 2 guys, they take some. He's like the day 1 guys, they're talked to differently. Okay, now this is a little shade here because. And again, I'm not throwing Jordan under the bus. I think they've only had one day 1 guy during Jordan's time, and that's Andre Dillard.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So they've had a number of the day 2 guys are Landon Dickerson and Tyler Steen and Cam Jurgens. But he says that like, and by the way, this wasn't just Jordan. I was talking to some other guys about this. Steen's very much like, yes, sir, understood. Like he does a good job taking it and applying it. And Jason Kelce said that he really likes Steen's like disposition and personality. So he is someone that has been catching attention behind the scenes.
And then the last thing is just that this thing that we've talked about right guard before, the fact that you get to play in between Jason Kelce and Lane Johnson. I mean, you are set up for success.
Yeah, and this also goes back to something we discussed during the summer, which was Lane Johnson playing next to a bigger guard. I asked Jason Kelce if that matters, and he said to him the size doesn't really matter, like of the guard there. He said there's certain things that some guards do better than others, like Tyler Steen or Brandon Brooks might do something better or differently than Stefan Wisniewski or Cam Jurgens, but he's not like I need a 6'6", 333-pound offensive guard.
All right, Zach. Well, the Drops by Soul Savvy app makes it easy to keep up with all the latest news, releases, raffles, and sales in the sneaker world. It is your one-stop shop for everything sneakers. They've got 3 key features that they want you to know about. There's the Drop Alerts instant notifications. Never miss a release again. You will get instantly notified whenever your size is available to buy. Number 2, the free raffle management. Keep track of all the raffles that happen in sneakers with our raffle tracker. Number 3, the release calendar. Our accurate release calendar will keep you updated on releases that are upcoming. So whether you are a casual buyer or an all-out sneakerhead, Soul Savvy has something for you with 3 different levels. The basic version, which is free, there's Mobile Plus, and there's Premium. This Saturday, November 4th, the Air Jordan 1 Reimagined Royal drops. The Drops by Soul Savvy app will notify you when and where it's dropping, so download the app and never miss a release. Sign up for Soul Savvy, that's SOLESAVY, by clicking the links in the description below or by visiting links.soulsavvy.com/PHLY or head over to the App Store and download the Drops by Soul Savvy app.
I have a confession to make. I was...
All ears. Is this related to your second and third dates with Nick Sirianni?
Nothing like that. I was driving over here, eating my lunch in the car.
What were you having?
Well, that's what I was about to say. Is Emily made me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich because I had a very confined period before the time I got out of the locker room and the time I came here, so I needed something I could eat while driving. And I'm eating.
What a lovely thing for Emily to do. She's looking out for you.
Yeah,
love that.
But.
Are you that incapable of making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich?
No, here, let me finish the read, please. Okay, let me finish the story, okay? But as I'm eating it, I'm saying this is delicious. But you know what would be even better? If it was on Hero bread, right? Because I want my sandwiches, I want my bread
Taking a shot at Emily, okay.
To be Hero bread. Because Hero bread is a low-carb option to fit your lifestyle. And it's just terrific in that the taste and the texture, the bread is soft and fluffy, and it's delicious and tasty and flavorful. And it has terrific nutritional interest. It's high fiber with ultra low net carbs and has 0 grams of sugar. And if you want, for 10% off here, you can go to PHLY. So the Hero makes sliced breads, buns, and tortillas that are available on hero.co and Amazon. And there are fewer calories than the leading national brands, 5 to 10 grams of protein per serving. Right now, Hero Bread is offering the PHLY family 10% off their first order. Just go to hero.co and use our code PHLY to save on Hero Bread today. That's hero.co to save 10% today. To answer your question,
I'm really enjoying the chat right now. They're all agreeing that you have just thrown Emily under the bus in service of a sponsor. And I hope that when you get home tonight, she throws a loaf of bread in your face and says, "You make your own goddamn peanut butter and jelly sandwich."
First off, I was trying to find a good transition with the bread because I like the Hero Bread, and I did not have Hero Bread when we were making the peanut butter and jelly sandwich. To answer your question, I was taking the trash out this morning. Okay, it was a very tight schedule. You know, I was taking Sloan to school, and
why didn't you take the trash out last night?
Why not?
Yeah.
I always take it out the morning because I don't want any it's an old city habit, if you will. If you take it out the night before, people go through your trash. That was kind of
okay.
Do you not find that to be the case?
No, I put mine out at night.
And people don't go through your trash?
Not that I know of.
You don't see your trash on the ground?
No.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay. Well, where I was living in the city, if you brought your trash,
maybe it's because you're so famous. It was the paparazzi.
No, it wasn't that. It was.
Let's see what Zach.
We don't need to get into like civic dynamics here, but unfortunately, at night people were going around going through trash.
Jamie Lynch.
Not saying that. So I'm in the habit of bringing out in the morning because people go through trash cans, right? So I'm surprised this doesn't happen to you.
I'm sorry.
I was taking out the trash, and Emily said, she said, "Do you need lunch today?" And I said, actually, that'd be great because I don't have a lot of time between the show.
Very nice.
Between the locker room and the show. I got out of the locker room at about 1:15. The show starts at 2. So yeah, it was. I really didn't expect to go down this.
And then a key question from Khalif,
yes.
Who wonders how you were able to drive the car while also eating and checking Twitter at the same time.
Yeah, I was not checking Twitter at that point, but I was certainly eating the peanut butter and jelly sandwich and the Smart Pop popcorn that I had.
All right, Zach, let's talk about the matchup when the Eagles have the ball here, because this is the good on good side here, which I think undersells the other side of the matchup, which we talked about yesterday. But Eagles enter this game 7th in DVOA, Cowboys 3rd in DVOA on defense. The Eagles offense 4th in EPA per drive and 4th in success rate. The Cowboys defense 3rd in EPA per drive and 8th in success rate. One thing I would say is this is very reductive, and Rich Hoffman said the same thing in the newsletter today, but turnovers are such a big part of the story of this matchup. The Cowboys defense ranks as highly as it does in large part because of turnovers. If you eliminate turnovers from both the Eagles offense and the Cowboys defense, the Eagles offense goes from 4th to 2nd, and the Cowboys defense drops from 3rd to 8th, right? So they are a good defense, but a mortal defense, taking away their power to intercept and force turnovers, right? Now, that's the story of the season. That's fine. If Jalen Hurts doesn't fumble the ball away, we'll see what happens. But I think that the Eagles will be able to move the ball on this Cowboys defense, and maybe we'll see what happens with turnovers. But other than that, I feel pretty good about the Eagles offense going up against pretty much any defense right now.
You are right. Now, I do think that they need to run the ball more effectively, and I think, like we've discussed a few times this week, I think Dallas is vulnerable to outrun against, but it would behoove the Eagles, with as well as A.J. Brown's playing, to throw at A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. I think the point you made and that Rich made about the turnovers is huge here, because they are. Let me pull up my exact numbers here. Because they're one of the best teams in the league in turnover differential. They're +6 this year. Okay, they're doing a really good job with takeaways. You've seen games this year where they're scoring defensive touchdowns, and that's where Nick Sirianni's message, I know we joked about the Bob Knight thing, but Nick Sirianni's message about playing clean football, that's critical here. This is not a game where the Eagles are going to be able to overcome multiple turnovers. I think that they've done that. You won the Goose Wisely item last week of the winning team lost the turnover battle. I don't know if you can depend on that being the case on Sunday against Dallas.
Now, the story of this Cowboys defense, right, is that they are prioritizing getting speed on the field, right? They reduce down with their defensive linemen sometimes. They play heavy dime personnel on third down. And
Shout out to Fran Duffy. You had a good video on that.
Yep, and the Eagle Eye in the Sky podcast talked about it as well. I think that there is a case to be made that the path to sustained victory for the Eagles in this game is leaning on the running game. And maybe maybe Tyler Steen is better at that than Sua Opeta, and that's part of the dynamic at play here. It sure would be a good time for them to rediscover their power of the running game.
Yeah.
Which is also not to say that AJ Brown and Devontae Smith can't have a monster game against Stephon Gilmore and Deron Bland, who are good but not great.
You're right. Now, with the running game here, this will be a good test of whether it is true that Sirianni, as Sirianni said, that they've just had matchups where passing the ball's been better, or that if it is actually the case that the running game's struggling here and that Jalen Hurts' lack of running is problematic because we've talked about when they faced Parsons last year, they did, if you can't stop him, read him, right? And part of that is the threat of Hurts running. And if Hurts is not running, you're not doing those RPRs as frequently. Now, it could be the type of thing, and you mentioned this, that they're going into the bye week. It's like, let Hurts go loose. He has 2 weeks to recover for the Chiefs game, but that all depends on, obviously, the condition of his knee. So I think that the DeAndre Swift needs to have a big part of this game. This is one where you impose your will. We talked 2 weeks ago when the Eagles played the Dolphins. A big theme of that was the Dolphins' team speed. And we were discussing it more with offense, but the prevailing message was you beat speed with power, right? And so I keep going back to that drive last year when, the Eagles, and the game I'm referring to is the first game against Dallas, the one that Jalen Hurts played here in Philly. And
Cooper Rush.
Yeah, against Cooper Rush, but it's still against Dan Quinn's defense, right?
Yeah.
And the Eagles took an early lead. The Cowboys made it a close game, and the Eagles went on a 13-play, 75-yard drive late in the game where they rushed the ball, I think, 10 of 11 times to start the drive. And then they set up that Devontae Smith touchdown off of it. And a big part of that was them imposing their will against the Cowboys. I remember the story that I wrote after the game was the Jeff Stoutland expression. It's not who's tougher, it's who's tougher longer. And that was the big message from the Eagles. So I think that's one way to counteract what the Cowboys do defensively, because they do have a really good defense. Number 3 in DVOA, right? And especially good against the pass. And
what is your sense of Jalen Hurts' health going into this game? You mentioned the rushing ability here.
Not on the injury report.
Right.
Not interested in discussing it. Right. I think he's clearly dealing with this. Now, he has run, but he's not running. Like in the Washington game, he really didn't get out.
He had one real scramble.
Yeah. So my guess is he's probably dealing with the same thing. So it's a matter of tolerance, but also what he's able to do. And I think that's why you've seen him pass more. And I think if they run the ball, they are going to run the ball, but it's going to be more based on Swift and the offensive line.
I think it's a big factor in this game, especially because this Cowboys defense plays a lot of man, right? Mm-hmm. Which is not what you would necessarily think from Dan Quinn's background, but they're third in the league in man percentage, which is still only 36% of the time, so it's not a ton, but 50% on third down. And last year, Jalen Hurts killed man defense, right? Yeah. Because if you're in man, your back is to the quarterback. This is a little bit reductive, but that means that Jalen can scramble, right? Last year, he was third in EPA per dropback against man defense, second in success rate, and he was scrambling on those plays about 9% of the time, which was third in the league. This year, he's good. He's 13th in EPA per dropback against man, 6th in success rate, but he's not scrambling as much on those plays, down to 6%, which is 13th in the league. He is avoiding sacks more. He's only getting sacked on those plays 4% of the time, which is the third best in the league. Last year was a little bit over 7%, which was 15th in the league. So he's sacrificing the ability to extend plays or scramble for getting the ball out, and he's still being good, but it's not the offense's like get out of jail free card that it was last year. So it's just a dynamic in this game. If he is able to, fight through it a little bit and rediscover that on like 4 plays, if it's 3 third downs that he's able to pick up because he's able to run, those can be game-changing plays in a game, which is obviously going to be decided by very thin margins.
And you'd be more apt to play man against the quarterback who's not running.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think there could be a bit of an okey doke.
Yeah.
In this game, I think.
A few things first off from the chat here. I saw Bree put it up when Jersey Bird asked who asked the knee question that Hurts walked out on. Just want to clarify this. To answer the question succinctly, it was Mike Sealski, the excellent columnist
what
from the
happened
Philadelphia
for those who
Inquirer.
didn't see this?
But I wanted to say it's not like Jalen Hurts walked out on the question. The press conference was over, or was like finished, and then just before Mike said, is there anything new on the knee? Which is a perfectly legitimate question to ask to the starting quarterback. Jalen kind of didn't want to answer it and, got up, but he was getting up anyway. So it's not as if he stormed off. So I just want to give that clarification. Also, on the topic of running backs, it's important to note too. I spoke to Kenny Gainwell today. First time Kenny's spoken with reporters since it came out that he responded at halftime on Instagram. He said he's handled it like a man. It's not, it's something that he shouldn't have done. I
think this is the biggest non-story. This makes me like Kenny Gainwell so much more. It is so much more pathetic to get into someone's DMs and say you're a bum in the middle of a game than it is to just respond and say F you, don't text me. Like that is so much more loser stuff. Like give me a break. Leave the guy alone.
Yeah, well, I do agree with you there. Like
it's pathetic. I think it's hilarious. He gets 5 minutes on his phone to turn his brain off, right? Because he's in the middle of this thing. He's mad at himself because he fumbled inside the 5-yard line, and somebody's in his Instagram DMs like, "You're a bum." I would do the same thing. Like, "F you, go get a life."
So what you just said is exactly what Gainwell said today, except for the "F you, go get a life" part. But he basically said he was already like frustrated,
Yeah.
And he says he always kind of checks his phone to see if his parents reached out or that kind of thing. And he saw that, he responded. He says he owns up to it. He takes it like a man. It's not something that he'll do again. He's saying clearly the team trusts him to play him in these high leverage situations, so he's not down on his confidence in that regard. But just want to give that update. Also, Boston Scott's been absent this week with a personal matter. Don't quite know what that is, but we'll see about Scott's status for this weekend. But it could be a potential game when Rashad Penny's up if Boston Scott's not there on Sunday.
Gotcha. Okay. Anything else on this matchup? Do you think that this could be like a big? Did you watch the Devontae Smith mic'd up?
Not yet. I have that bookmarked. I want to watch it.
It was good. It was. He's always a good guy to have mic'd up. It was funny. Do you think this could be?
What was the highlight?
The highlight to me was Darius Slay was coming off the field because he got the wind knocked out of him, and Darius and Devontae said something to the effect of like, "Okay, we need you back out there. Go, get back on the field."
I like that. Yeah. That's like my dad growing up used to say, like, put rubbing alcohol on it and you'll be fine. Yeah. So
okay,
throw a little dirt. Yeah.
Do you think this could be a situation where the Cowboys are designing their game plan around stopping A.J. Brown and, Devontae pops or Dallas Goedert pops?
It would behoove. That's the second time I've used behoove on this show today.
Behoove?
It would behoove them to try to stop A.J. Brown. Other teams have tried and have not been able to do it. 700 yards in October, like we said. I think we talked about it yesterday. More yards than any receiver had for the Eagles in the 2019 season or the 2020 season. So that shows you the type of month that A.J. Brown had. I spoke to Mike McCarthy about like what A.J. Brown's doing that's kind of different than in the past. And Mike McCarthy said he's tilting the odds on 50-50 balls. And that's part of what this is. They're throwing the ball up to him and he's making plays.
And did you respond, yeah, baby?
No, I did not. You already used that joke yesterday.
No, I didn't use that joke. I used a different.
The Austin Powers thing.
It's a continuing thread.
Gotcha.
It's not a thread.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's a through line. It's a callback.
Gotcha. Callback to our loyal viewers and listeners. And But I think that
Should
the
ask
Eagles.
Nick Sirianni, do I make you horny, baby?
Wow, I did not see that. I did not see you going there. Nor would
Listen,
I.
you poked the bear.
Nor would I ever say that. Okay, so just want to make that clear. So let's get back on track here. I think that the Eagles are expecting teams to try different things against A.J. Brown, and that's where Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert both come in. Like they're both involved in a big way. And while we're on the Devontae Smith thing, part of community building here on PHLY is I'm trying to do kind of. I was thinking I'll put out these trivia questions, and if you get the trivia question right, I'll give you a shout out on the show. Right? So I put a trivia question.
Do you think that's enough of a carrot to just get a shout out on the show?
Well,
you can be the next Steve Clef.
I mean, what do you want me to do? Right?
know.
Like, I'm asking them a question on social media.
Yeah,
like,
I like it.
It's not as if I'm gonna be like, I'll give you Bo's paycheck this week, right? Like, I'm giving you.
I don't think you have access to my paycheck. That doesn't sound fair.
So, point being, I said Devontae Smith is 2 receptions shy of 200 catches. Assuming he reaches that mark on Sunday, and I think that's a safe assumption, he'll become the second fastest in franchise history to 200 catches. Who knows who's first on the list? Did you see me give the answer out?
I didn't see the answer, but I had a guess.
Who is it?
Is it Jordan Matthews?
Correct.
Okay.
And so a number of people actually got it. So I'm just going to read down. If I don't mention you, I apologize. I'm going through this quickly. But Dan Baxter, come on down. You got this correctly. Joel Embiid is the MVP. He was last year. Lord Buffington. Young I Am Forever, I believe that is. Dr. Dre.
They have timestamps. You could just have gotten the first person.
OCC, MAS, Razor 71.
Occam's Razor?
Occam's Razor.
OCC
White
AM's
Noise Sports.
OCC AM's Razor is very funny.
Mikey misblocked me. Joe Egregious, I believe it is. Brandon, this is really testing my bad pronunciation. Giuliani.
This is the best segment in show history, I think.
K Money 11 37 27. JD Bat 79. Eagles Jack.
Wow. What engagement you've fostered with this tweet?
Doug Diama Dome.
Doug Diamadome?
Yes, Diamadomi. But anyways, all these people got it correct with.
Hold on one sec.
With Jordan Matthews.
I want to just respond so that I can get my own shout out on the show. Let's see if I can get to Z-Berms.
And then
Twitter.
Bo_Wolf is doing it now. Okay, so that one's an easy one for me to get. Okay. But anyways, I appreciate
OCCAM's Razor is so good.
I appreciate all of you paying attention, and I will put out a trivia question before every game. And if you answer it correctly, I will mention you on the show.
Wow. It's not even like who gets it first. It's just anybody who answers it correctly.
I didn't think that many people were going to get it. I mean, who would have thought it was Jordan Matthews?
Well, OCCAM's Razor for one.
Yes, true. Did I really waste 4 minutes? Random Frank P. Says, Zach, I don't want to waste time with small talk. Also, Zach reads off names for 4 minutes.
That's pretty good. All right, well, if you want to go to the game on Sunday, you could use the Game Time app because buying tickets to your favorite event shouldn't be stressful. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. Easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area. Images of seat views, lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, job loss protection, and more. Game Time is the place for last-minute ticket deals. Forget planning months in advance. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. Get exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. The Game Time guarantee means you will always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section or row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem with code PHLY for $20 off. All right, anything else on that side of the ball, Zach, before we get to Goose Wisely?
No, I think you put it well there.
Okay. All right. Well, then let's do it. Goose Wisely, I believe I'm up 5-2 on the season.
But the overall
Again,
number.
you with the horniness.
Oh, it's ridiculous. The overall numbers, I think, are also important here. It's like in a rotisserie league or something like that, or when you're doing.
How's it like a rotisserie league?
No, when you're doing head to head, I mean, in a head to head league, right? Is it just who won that week, or if it's 5-4, is it a 5-4 game? So,
I've won 5 of the weeks. You've won 2 of the weeks.
yes, but I'm saying, look at the numbers.
I'm still ahead of you in the numbers, in the total.
I actually don't know about that.
I am.
Okay, if so, it's very close.
It's not that close. It's like a 3 or 4 point difference. I'm beating you in the game. Is really the moral of the story.
We got a long way to go here.
All right, let's get to it. Bree, if you want, you can do my first one.
Of course.
You want to go first, Zach?
No. I want you to.
Unbelievable. All right, first one for you. Hassan Reddick out-sacks Micah Parsons in this game, or Tony Pollard out-rushes DeAndre Swift. Now, I believe there was a tweet going around about somebody thinking it was ridiculous that that Hassan Reddick could possibly be compared to Micah Parsons. I mean, Hassan Reddick has the most sacks in the league over the last 2 seasons. I think they are pretty similar players.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Tony Pollard has not had a great season so far, but we will see if the Eagles' run offense can get unplugged.
I'm going Hassan Reddick out-sacks Micah Parsons here. I think that I like the Eagles' tackles better than Dallas's tackles. I do know Dallas moves guys or moves Parsons around, but yeah, I'm going with Reddick here, especially if he has a closer sack, if you will. One quick Micah Parsons note: Nolan Smith, friends with Micah Parsons, was actually he was recruited to Penn State. Nolan
Really?
Smith, and on his official visit, Micah Parsons took him around, and the reason he was considering Penn State was because they were trying to make him the next Micah Parsons.
And by that, you mean misusing him for his entire college career.
Potentially so. I mean,
Okay.
if they were selling him as the next Micah Parsons.
Okay.
So
You, too, can come here and go lower on the draft than you should have.
wow, really giving Penn State some.
I don't think they get enough guff for that.
Is Tyler still here? Tyler's not going to appreciate you saying this.
I think he would appreciate
There he
it.
is. Yeah. Okay. I see Tyler. My bad, Tyler. You're right there. I should have seen you.
He's not a like head down homer with no critical thinking ability. He understands that they boned that.
Who's with the horniness now?
Good for you.
All right. Let's
Although it
do
doesn't
this.
really work. They boned that is not really
All
like.
right. All right. So you have the Tony Pollard one.
Yes.
Okay. I'm up here. DeAndre Swift rushes, and I'm sorry, Brie, ahead of time for how wordy this is. DeAndre Swift rushes for more yards than Joel Embiid's points plus rebounds plus assists plus blocks plus steals on Saturday against the Phoenix Suns. You can get those tickets on Game Time app. Or DeAndre Swift is not the leading rusher in the game.
Well, I already have Pollard out rushes Swift, so this could be a potential double for me. So Embiid's points, let's call it 32.
Okay.
Rebounds 11. Okay, so we're up to 43. Let's give him 4 assists.
He's been hot with assists recently. He's been getting these 7 assist games.
Okay, 47. Let's go 3 blocks, 50, 2 steals, 52. Even if it's like a much better game than that, we're talking about like low 60s maybe. Do I think DeAndre Swift is going to definitely run for 60-ish yards? I'm going to take the Swift end of this.
Okay.
And you will add Swift is not the leading rusher in the game. So if Tony Pollard is the leading rusher in the game, we both get
We
both get a point.
Okay.
I don't know if that was the right thing to do game theory wise, but
If Professor Selman's watching, you can chime in. Professor Selman did not like your tweet the other day, by the way.
which tweet was that?
It was something about about the Josh McDaniels show.
Oh yeah. Well, I think I don't want to speak for Professor Solomon. I think it's bringing up a low point, like the possibility. He doesn't want to be reliving this thing that could have led us down a terrible timeline when we're in the middle of the Eagles being 7-1. But he doesn't have a show to do 5 days a week.
6 this week.
That's right. All right, I'm up. What I have for you, Zach, is CeeDee Lamb scores a touchdown with either Sidney Brown or Eli Ricks in coverage on him.
Okay.
Or Devontae Smith has more receiving yards than A.J. Brown and Dallas Goedert combined in this game.
Combined?
Yes.
Oh, CeeDee Lamb scores a touchdown with Brown or Ricks. I mean, I don't think Devontae is going to have more than Brown and Goddard combined.
So I'm just saying, is this the big Devontae Smith
Yeah, but
game?
even if it's a big Devontae Smith game, I don't think he gets that high. So, yeah.
You've never seen how high Devontae can get.
Have you?
No.
Okay.
Okay. But if we are
Analyzing this.
using this as
Yes.
a discussion point, what do you think the Eagles' plan is going to be for CeeDee Lamb?
Well, hope is not a plan, correct? That's a joke. Sorry. I was doing so well
always
today.
good to clarify.
I was doing so well today without pointing out that. That was actually when I was doing my personal debrief and trying to figure out how I can do a better show today than yesterday. My message to myself was, don't mention a joke that doesn't land. Just keep rolling with it. And I'm 47 minutes in and I was doing well with it, and now here I am. Screwed that up. What do I think their plan is? I personally think their plan's going to be some Browns, some Ricks, some zone. I imagine they'll have double coverage there. They can put a safety over top. There's a handful of things that they can do, but I don't think they're going to put Bradbury inside. Now, I know your point about Slay.
Yeah, I think we're going to see some of what we saw against Justin Jefferson.
Because he is like their Jefferson. That is a good point. But Slay.
I don't think they are going to put this game on trusting that Eli Ricks can stop CeeDee Lamb.
So this is my pushback there, is that I think to the Rams game, when Slay was following Kupp inside in the first half, then they changed in the second half, and they just went straight.
Yeah, that's true.
And they trusted their guys to make plays. They wanted to ease up the communication. So I can see that. Now you have a whole week to prepare for this, but I still think Slay's going to be on the outside.
That offense also had Puka. But yeah, I don't know. I'm curious. I think we're going to see a lot of different stuff.
That's a good way to cover all your bases.
Thanks.
Okay, I'm up here.
Well, this is a defensive coordinator who does different things within the context of a game and doesn't just stay with his head down doing the exact same thing all game long.
Is that a reference to Jonathan Gannon?
You said it, not me.
Okay. Micah Parsons records a sack, or Micah Parsons does not record a sack?
Now, does a half sack count?
A half sack does count, yes.
A half sack counts.
Yes.
Then I'm going to say Micah Parsons records a sack.
Okay. So I have Micah Parsons does not record a sack, which he didn't do last year against the Eagles, correct?
Yeah, certainly not in the first game.
Yeah, in that first game, I mean. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Which one would you have taken?
Probably Micah Parsons records a sack because I think he's the best player on the field, but I do think the Eagles are going to have a plan for him.
I would hope so.
There's always that chance, though, of like the fallen Jalen Hurts sack,
Yeah.
Where like Hurts gives himself up, but he's the closest one, so he touches him down.
Sure.
Pass rushers love those sacks. Because contract time, they're not parsing. It's like, 12 and a half sacks. And they don't know that 2 of them, you fell on the guy.
That's right. Okay, Zach. The Cowboys convert a tush push. Or there are more shots during the broadcast of Jerry Jones in his box than there are total turnovers in the game.
Jerry Jones shots over, yeah. I think Jerry Jones, the camera's going to find him quite a bit. He's not just the owner.
This is the National Fox game, and we got Buck and Aikman on the call, I believe. I mean, not Buck and Aikman, Olsen and Burkhart.
Yep. Big fans of both of them. Great job.
Yeah, they do a great job.
Big Jersey connections there. Yeah, both from Jersey. Burkhart, back when I was at the Star Ledger, he was like the sideline. He was the sideline guy for the Mets. Such a nice guy. Like, I was a fill-in covering the Mets, and he couldn't have been nicer to me back then. So shout out to Kevin Burkhart.
Nice to be nice to the people around you in the locker room,
Yeah, I mean, you always remember the people who are nice to you. So for sure, and that's why it's good to be nice to everybody.
Okay. And do you think the Cowboys are? You're taking Jerry Jones? Okay.
Taking Jerry Jones.
All right. Up to me, or it's your one for me.
Jay Speakman, let's start by actually talking Eagles football. What do you think we've been doing all week, Jay? Sorry.
More like Jay Typeman.
Oh, here we go. I apologize for that. Nolan Smith plays more snaps than Jake Elliott points. or Nolan Smith plays fewer snaps than A.J. Brown catches?
Nolan Smith plays more snaps than Jake Elliott points, or Nolan Smith plays fewer snaps than A.J. Brown catches. I think we're going to see a little bit more Nolan Smith. He played 4 snaps last week, 6 snaps last week. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, how much more? This is the last game before the bye. You want to lean in a little bit more on Reddick and Sweat. I'm going to say, ooh, this is a good one, Zach.
Thank you.
I'm going to say more likely is that he plays more snaps than Jake Elliott points. But I don't feel great about it.
Which one would I have gone with here? I would go with Nolan Smith plays more snaps than Jake Elliott points.
Okay, well, thankfully it wasn't your choice.
Yep.
And you have less than Brown catches.
Sorry, I was trying to engage the chat. That was the first one that I saw. I shouldn't even have mentioned that. That was very uncharacteristic of me.
I think it was funny.
Okay.
All right, my last one for you. Mike McCarthy does something dumb, and this is
this is so subjective.
This is in my full sole discretion.
Okay.
Or Fletcher Cox has a tackle for loss or a sack.
Okay, so the problem with this is that if I pick it, there's no way you give me credit, and if you get it, then you clearly give yourself credit.
That's not true.
So I think
if you pick it, there is a scenario where he does something dumb enough that I am willing to say that he did something dumb.
I am overruling here. Jamie, who it's his birthday coming up.
You don't get to overrule. This is my proposal. You don't get to do that.
You can't. You can't.
If you do that, then I'm going to do that to your next thing.
No, you can't be the arbiter.
But that's part of the game theory of it.
All right, then I'll go Fletcher Cox tackle for a loss. Because
well, that's the wrong choice.
If I went Mike McCarthy does something dumb, there's no way you're giving me any credit.
That's not true. You're wrong. What you are making the wrong choice here, because if it's my decision, I am going to find something dumb for him to say if I have it. But if you have it and he does something really dumb, I am still going to call him on it.
Bo, I've worked with you for 5 years.
You have this wrong.
You have never shown any inclination to give me credit with these things.
You have this wrong. You have this wrong. I'm telling you.
Let the chat decide. I like that, Clara.
The bar for dumb, if I own it, can be very low. I can figure out anything dumb he says. But if he punts the ball on 4th and 1 or doesn't go for 2 with the game on the line and you have it, I'm still going to say he did something dumb. There are things that he can do that are like inarguably dumb.
Okay.
But you made the wrong call. That's fine.
Maybe I've just watched Fletcher Cox play this year, and I know that he's doing a good job penetrating the line of scrimmage and getting the pressure.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, is that these are both likely to happen.
Okay. Chat decides. Thank you, Poor Jam. Yep.
Yeah. See, Cyrus says no way Bo is not calling out dumb moves by McCarthy. That is absolutely right.
That's a minion if I've ever seen one.
Okay.
Okay. The Eagles score more than their season average, which is 28 points per game. Or the Cowboys total more yards than their season average, which is 387.4 yards per game.
I'm going to say the Cowboys total more yards than their season average. I think it's possible the Eagles score over 28, but I can also see the Cowboys moving the ball pretty well and consistently on this Eagles defense.
Okay. So you think this is going to be a lower scoring game? Or, well, I guess we'll find out in the next segment with our predictions.
I guess we will. Time for our golden eggs.
Yes, that's correct.
This is very easy for me. I'm putting mine on Mike McCarthy does something dumb.
Okay.
Which means you get a Fletcher Cox TFL.
And can I see yours or do you not have yours?
Sure. I have Tony Pollard outgains DeAndre Swift on the one when you have Hassan Reddick has more sacks than Micah Parsons. I have DeAndre Swift has more rushing yards than the Joel Embiid stat line. Against you have DeAndre Swift is not the leading rusher in the game. I have.
Okay, I'm going to go with
let me
DeAndre.
just read them all down to go back.
Yeah.
I have Devontae Smith has more receiving yards combined than A.J. Brown and Dallas Goedert on the one when you have CeeDee Lamb scores a touchdown on Eli Ricks or Sidney Brown. I have Parsons has a sack. You have Parsons doesn't have a sack. I have the Cowboys do a tush push. You have the Jerry Jones shots over total turnovers in the game. I have Nolan Smith's snaps are greater than Jake Elliott's points. You have his snaps are lower than A.J. Brown's catches. And then I have the Cowboys have more yards than their season average. You have the Eagles have more points than their season average.
And I'm allowed to pick one of yours, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm going with the Joel Embiid one. I think that unless Embiid has like a 50-point outburst, I think you're going to see Swift get into at least 70s this game.
And that means you have Swift as not the leading rusher in the game. That's the one that you're going for. When you pick a golden egg, you are picking the selection that's for both of us. You're picking the head-to-head matchup.
Okay, so then I'm not going with that.
This is week 8 that we are doing this.
So that's why I
This is
said
the
I
eighth
want
time.
to pick mine then. Okay, so then I'm going with the Jerry Jones shots. Okay.
How are we still explaining the game to you?
Okay, someone said to me, ZB always picks his own.
Meaning the proposal.
I
the
thought
one that
they-
you have proposed.
All right, I thought that meant that I'm always picking mine. I thought that if there's one that I like for yours, I can get points for that.
What are you talking about?
That's what I didn't understand by that. That's why I literally said, can I pick one of yours?
You thought you could just, oh my gosh.
Yes, I think.
This is not a complicated game.
I didn't think so. When that reader said it, I was thinking, is there a game theory thing that I'm missing here? That's why I literally said, can I pick one of yours? And you said, yes, you can.
Yeah, meaning one that I proposed.
Okay, so obviously I knew that.
Wow.
Yeah, so then I'm going with the Jerry Jones one.
All right.
Yeah,
Maybe
relax,
if
Bo.
you need, like, you might need reading glasses or reading, like, comprehension help.
I don't need reading comprehension help, Bo.
What do you need, listening comprehension help?
I need to understand the rules of your games.
It's week 8!
I don't create these games.
Anyway, if you want to go incognito because you've been playing a game for 8 weeks and you still don't understand the rules and you don't want to be bothered about it, maybe you should go to Shady Rays. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers an unrivaled product that's just as good as any expensive pair we've worn. Durable frames and world-class optics for all outdoor adventures. And if you're into winter sports, their quick swap snow lenses switch easily from full sun to low light. Don't let changing light conditions slow you down on the slopes when all you need are Shady Rays snow goggles. That's not all. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost or broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair even on day 1, they told us they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. Wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after you purchase. Shady Rays is also committed to making a difference in communities across the U.S. through their impact program, teaming up with nonprofits to help people live healthy, courageous lives through some of their most challenging times. If you don't love your Shady Rays, exchange for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back with personal and fast support. So exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out an amazing deal for the season. Go to shadyrays.com and use code PHLY for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. All right, Zach. We've come to the end of the show. It's time to get on the record. Big game on Sunday. Now, we have talked about how significant the implications of this game are, right? This is either going to be a 2.5 game spread in the division or a half game spread in the division. And as the Eagles are staring down this gauntlet that this is the start of, they come back from the bye and it's Kansas City and Buffalo and San Francisco, then back at Dallas, back and then across to Seattle. Meanwhile, Dallas's schedule after this week is the Giants, at Carolina, the Commanders. That seems like 3 layups, right? And so if the Eagles lose this game, I think there's a good chance by the time they go back to Dallas that they are no longer in first place in the division. If they win this game, you've got some breathing room. Huge game. How do you see it playing out?
So this is a 3-point spread for the Eagles. They're favored here. The over-under is 47. I think this is a tight game between the two teams. I thought the Cowboys were legitimate Super Bowl contenders going into the season. Still feel that way. Think they're going to propose a real tough challenge for the Eagles. I like the way that defense is playing. Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb are hot. Dak Prescott always seems to play well against the Eagles. I'm not expecting this to be a shootout. I'm expecting this to be like a really well-coached, well-played game. I think it's going to be especially close. I predicted going into the season that the Eagles and the Cowboys are going to split, and I expect that to happen. However, I think the Eagles win this one at home going into the bye the same way they did last year going into the bye. I think that the Eagles put together a really impressive fourth quarter drive, similar to last season, to take a lead that Dallas tries to cut into, and the Eagles, and Dallas is successful with that. The Eagles get the ball late, and Jake Elliott kicks a game-winning field goal to give the Eagles a 24-23 victory.
24-23. Nice. Okay.
The over-under is 47.
You nailed it. So you got the Eagles winning, but the Cowboys covering.
Yes.
Okay. I could see it going both ways.
Of course you can.
I think about this as the...
that way you're covered both sides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, just like exactly what you did. Right? Like what you try to do every single time. In like the narrative arc of the season, it makes more sense to me that the Cowboys would win this game. Because I think that the Eagles, like, is it going to be this easy? You know, even though before the gauntlet starts or just at the beginning of it, they've basically got the division locked up. And I know that that's easier said than done, but it feels like it's not going to be that easy. They have not played quite as well as last year. You know, I think, you know, the Cowboys' point differential is nearly as good as the Eagles. By certain metrics, they are slightly better. They've also have a long history of coming up weak in big spots, right? They totally laid an egg in that big game in San Francisco that they were talking about all week. I think this game, and this is to go to Sirianni's point, like the who makes the fewest mistakes, the Eagles have been making a lot of mistakes. And I think it requires a level of trust to think that they are not going to make those mistakes in this game just because they're talking about it. And some of those mistakes are coaching mistakes too. You know, like the DeAndre Swift scoring a touchdown at the end of that game, that's a coaching mistake, right? And it's a little bit on my radar that like these end of half situations and a lot of these clock management things and like not going for 2 points when they should be going for 2 points. If Nick were coaching Nick, the coach, he would be getting on him for making some of these repeated mistakes. And in a game which I think the margins are going to be very thin, he needs to be at his best. Matchup-wise, I do think that the Cowboys are going to be able to move the ball on the Eagles' defense. Where CeeDee Lamb wins, where Dak wins, is where the Eagles are weak. But I also am willing to put some faith into Sean Desai putting together a special game plan here. I think he's earning my trust there. On the other side of the ball, I like the Eagles matchup. I am not scared of this Cowboys defense as good as they rank. I think that they are a little bit turnover propped up. I think the Eagles are going to be able to run the ball on them. I think they're going to be able to spring some big plays. I think this is going to be a big Devontae Smith game. I would predict that he is the Eagles' leading receiver in this game. I think he's going to top 100 yards. I think it's going to be a big Devontae game. And if they are able to protect the ball, I think they win. So I'm going to go the Eagles pull out the victory at home and enter the bye with the league's best record, preparing for the Super Bowl rematch. They win this game 27-23. They win and cover by a point. There you go.
Good prediction. I can see that happening.
I don't know if it's a good prediction. We'll find out.
I think it's a good prediction.
Tune into the kickoff show to see if I've changed my mind.
There you go.
All right. Zach, big weekend plans? Covering a big football game.
Big weekend. Yeah, I mean, excited for that. My son has a soccer game tomorrow. And I have a lot of work that I need to finish up here in the next 24 to 36 hours. Going out with Emily and a few friends tomorrow night, and then great day
for some PB&Js.
A great day of football. We'll not have peanut butter jelly tomorrow night. Great.
Good correction.
Great day of football on Sunday from like every time slot. There's something awesome. Looking forward to
it's really good.
To that Dolphins-Chiefs game to kick off the day. So we'll be doing that. And then got the bye week next week, so a chance to kind of catch the breath, recharge, and get pumped for a great final stretch here on PHLY. The last Well, I don't say the final stretch, but because they'll have the playoffs. But that November, that November, December stretch, and every week, yeah. Steve Clef says finish that book, Zach. That's exactly what I'm referring to. Gotta be pushing through that. So yeah, excited for what's ahead.
All right.
What about you?
I'm also excited for what's ahead.
No, how about your big weekend?
I think we got
plans?
a little orchard outing
Okay.
early tomorrow morning. That's about it. Those are our big plans.
Apple?
Yes.
Okay. You picking them? Bringing them home?
I imagine so.
Okay.
Yeah.
What will you do with them?
You've been there. I mean, you understand what happens at an orchard.
My wife loves apple picking. I liked it more when we did it with the kids. Like, I didn't understand why I had to give up a Saturday before the kids were born for the apple picking.
Yeah,
But
we've heard your complaints about this before.
Yes. But
What a man you are.
Yeah, I gave up a college football Saturday to pick apples, but with the kids,
Not that big of a deal. You could have left early in the morning.
with the kids, it's a great activity. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to be throwing the apples. That's what I'm going to be doing.
Are you okay?
No, but I'm trying to think of something else to do with the apples.
Well, I'm saying you can make apple pie, you can make apple sauce, you can.
You could eat the apples, yeah.
That's what I was asking. You bring them home and yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe we'll do we'll do something.
Okay. You go on the hayride?
I don't know if we're going to do the hayride.
Okay.
That'll be a game time decision.
Gotcha. Apple cider?
Like an apple cider?
Hot?
Like an apple cider donut?
Okay. Yeah. You can see that.
I had to get a blood drawn earlier today.
Oh. I don't know where you're going.
Do you
with this
always I think we've talked about this. Do you always do your non-throwing arm?
one. Yes.
Yeah, because you never know when you're going to.
Well, I call it my
What if somebody wants me to pitch?
I actually call it my writing arm, not my throwing arm. I do my non-writing arm. So
No,
yes.
I do my non-throwing arm.
Okay. That's the difference between you and I, right?
Yeah, one of us is a true athlete.
And one of us
Through
is a
and
true
through.
writer.
If you say so. All right. That'll do it for this episode of the PHLY Eagles podcast. We are back on Sunday. We've got the kickoff show with me and Jamie and Zach live from the link, and then the post-game show right afterwards. Big game. So we look forward to that. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. For all of us here, for Bree and Zach, I'm Bo. We thank you for listening. Good luck on all of your second and third dates this weekend. And as always, we love you.
We all silly like the man.